English Easy Podcast.
Hello, learners. Welcome back to English Easy Podcast, your partner to learning English. Why is it that when a corporate project succeeds, your boss makes a profit, but when that exact same project fails, you are somehow expected to take the blame?
Yeah, that is the magic question, isn't it?
Right. Today, we're doing a deep dive into one of the absolute smallest, but honestly most manipulative and powerful words in the entire English language. I mean, we're talking about the word take.
It is, it's a deceptively simple little verb. Native speakers just kind of sprinkle it across almost every context imaginable, from, pouring a cup of coffee to navigating some high-stakes financial merger.
Exactly. And if you're an intermediate learner, especially like a busy professional trying to operate in a second language, trying to decode all these different meanings, can just feel like hitting a brick wall.
Oh, absolutely. It's frustrating. But our mission today is to tear that wall down. We are going to look at the underlying psychology of how this word functions so you can stop, memorizing textbook rules and start actually feeling the natural rhythm of the language.
Yeah, and we're going to do this systematically, right? So we'll start with the physical reality of the word, like how we grab objects. Then we'll bridge into the psychological side. And finally, we're going to spend the bulk of our time in the boardroom.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, unpacking that heavy professional context of take. We've got some specific financial vocabulary and even some mental exercises to really bulletproof your business English. So let's just jump right into the physical world. At its most fundamental level, take requires hands.
Right, exactly. Hands.
It means to grab, to hold, or, to receive a physical object, like take this file or please take my bag.
And that physical action, that's really the foundation for everything else we're going to discuss today. When you physically take something, you're transferring ownership or control of that object from someone else's space into your own.
Right. And if you're heading into an English-speaking office or even just an international Zoom call, muscle memory is your best friend here.
Oh, 100%. The way your mouth forms these words really dictates your confidence.
So let's do a quick cadence check right now with you, the listener. Wherever you are, I want you to try saying a basic command, but with the authoritative tone of a manager. Don't just whisper it. Speak from your chest.
Yeah, really own it.
Ready? Please take this file. Notice how the sounds kind of link together. Please take this file.
Building that physical muscle memory is just so vital. But here is where the English language starts playing tricks on us, because we take this physical concept of grabbing an object and we immediately apply it to things we consume.
Oh, yeah, like food and drinks.
Exactly. We use take instead of eat or drink all the time. You hear people say, I take my coffee black. Or a doctor tells you to take this medicine with food.
I have always found that so strange. And I mean, it extends to transportation too. We don't really say use a bus or ride a subway in everyday professional chatter. We say take a bus or take a taxi.
Well, I suppose you're receiving the service of the transport, right? You're sort of extracting the utility of it.
I guess that's a highly accurate way to frame it. You aren't physically carrying the bus.
No, definitely not carrying a bus.
But you're temporarily claiming its utility for yourself.
Right, you're extracting the value of that route.
But, okay, I have to push back on something here, because this specific quirk drives language learners absolutely crazy. Why in the world do we say take a shower or take a bath?
Yeah, that one.
Because I am not picking up the plumbing and carrying it to my bedroom, and not physically moving a shower. So what exactly am I taking?
Okay, so this is where we see a really fascinating shift in the mechanics of English. The language has this tendency to turn actions into objects.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, when you say take a shower, the word take shifts the focus entirely away from the physical water or the bathroom tiles, and it puts the focus entirely on the experience.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you aren't moving a physical shower. You are extracting the experience of showering and claiming it for your morning routine. The experience itself literally becomes the object you are holding.
The experience becomes the object. Wow, that completely changes how I view the phrase. It's not about movement at all. It's about claiming an event.
Exactly.
And I imagine this exact same mechanism applies to how we talk about time, right? Because we never say it spends time to finish a financial report. We say it takes time.
Yes. The action of writing the report is literally grabbing and holding that portion of your afternoon.
Yeah.
It extracts the minutes from your day.
Yeah. And speaking of claiming time, Cognitive science shows us that the human brain requires deliberate pauses to consolidate new information.
Right, which means that taking a rest or taking a break is not a symptom of laziness.
Definitely not.
It is an active strategic choice. You are claiming that time to allow your brain to process.
Which is actually a perfect pivot into the psychology of this word. I mean, it makes sense that we take physical files or we take an experience like a break, but the human brain is so attached to this idea of holding things that we actually start treating our feelings and relationships like physical objects too.
Yeah, we spatialize our emotions. We treat them as things we could just carry around in our pockets.
Right, like the phrase, take care.
Exactly. We use it as this warm farewell. Take care of yourself. You're asking a colleague to physically hold on to their well-being, to guard it like a valuable asset.
But then contrast that warmth with the psychological burden of the phrase, take it personally.
Oh man, that phrase is a heavy one in corporate environments.
It really is. Like if my director heavily critiques my quarterly marketing strategy and I get super upset and defensive, my colleagues might tell me, hey, don't take it personally.
Let's break down the mechanics of why they actually say that. The critique is an external object. When you take it personally, you are grabbing that objective piece of feedback and pulling it deep into your internal emotional ecosystem.
Right, you're absorbing it as an attack on your identity rather than an attack on the spreadsheet.
Exactly. You're literally taking the words and housing them inside your ego. It's an active process, even if we're doing it completely subconsciously.
That brings to mind the opposite phrase, which I think is essential for any professional operating in a second language, which is take it easy.
Yes, take it easy.
Like if you stumble over your pronunciation during a presentation, you have to take it easy. Give yourself permission to not carry the weight of that tiny mistake.
Because the word take is so central to risk assessment. Both in life and in business. Think about the phrase, take a chance. A chance or a risk isn't a physical thing.
No, not at all.
But the language treats it like this heavy briefcase sitting on a table. When you take a chance, like, say, volunteering to lead a project in English, you're choosing to pick up that briefcase, knowing it might be heavy, knowing you might drop it. But you choose to hold the risk anyway.
Love that visualization. You aren't just letting the risk sit there, you're actively engaging with it. It's the core of take control, too. You're steering the ship.
Right. And doing it at your own pace, which is why we tell people to take your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Juggling a demanding career, managing your personal life, and striving for fluency in English is an immense, exhausting challenge. But learning this language is a choice you take every single day.
It really is.
So I highly recommend that our listeners take their time, take strategic breaks, take care of your mental health, and perhaps most importantly, don't take your free time for granted.
Take it for granted. That's a profound idiom right there.
Yeah, it really is.
It means assuming something valuable will just always be there without appreciating the effort required to maintain it. Like taking your health for granted until you get sick.
Precisely. Now, before we step fully into the boardroom side of things, we really need to touch on the mechanics of phrasal verbs.
Oh yes, phrasal verbs.
A phrasal verb is simply a verb paired with a small preposition like up, down, or off. And when you attach one of these tiny words to take, the entire meaning transforms.
The classic example is take off.
Yeah.
The literal meaning is, an airplane leaving the runway. The flight will take off at noon.
Right. And the physical meaning is removing an item, like take off your blazer.
But the professional idiom is my absolute favorite, which is sudden, rapid success. Her career really took off after that presentation.
The underlying mechanism linking all three of those is overcoming gravity.
Ooh, I like that. Overcoming gravity.
Yeah, whether it's an airplane defying physical gravity or a career defying corporate inertia, takeoff implies a sudden, powerful upward momentum that's very difficult to stop.
That makes the idiom so much more logical. I've also noticed something interesting in my own office communication. If I send an email telling my team, look at this financial report, they often get defensive or stressed out.
Yeah, it sounds like an order.
Exactly. But if I ask them to take a look at this report, the tone completely changes. They become helpful and collaborative. Why does adding take a change the social dynamic so drastically?
Because it acts as a social lubricant. Look at this. Is a direct imperative. It's abrupt.
Yeah, very harsh.
But take a look. Packages the action into a small, discrete object. You're no longer demanding their absolute attention. You're simply asking them to accept a tiny, manageable action, a look,
So it softens the command into an invitation.
Exactly.
It's like I'm asking for a small favor rather than handing down a heavy mandate.
Right. And that nuance is really the perfect bridge into the professional context.
Yeah.
Business communication is entirely built on these subtle power dynamics, and the word take is the engine driving most of them.
Yeah. In the corporate sphere, take is the language of ownership, financial consequence, and accountability.
Let's start with a phrase that carries immense weight. Take a decision. But in many international and British corporate contexts, you will hear executives say, we need to take a decision on this merger.
I have always wondered about the difference between those two. Make a decision sounds very active, like you're building the choice from scratch.
That is exactly the distinction. Making implies creating an option that didn't exist before. But taking a decision implies that all the difficult options are already laid out on the boardroom table.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Your job isn't to invent a new one. Your job is to shoulder the heavy burden of selecting one and owning the consequences. It's a heavier, more solemn phrase.
That makes perfect sense when you tie it to financial vocabulary, too. We talk about companies having to take a loss or take a hit to their budget. You aren't creating the loss. The deficit already exists.
Right. Your company just has to absorb it and survive it. You're taking the blow.
And that ties directly into what I think is the most critical phrase for career advancement. Take responsibility.
Oh, absolutely. Taking responsibility is the ultimate display of professional maturity.
Picture this, right? You are sitting in a boardroom. The Q3 marketing initiative you spearheaded just totally tanked. Your director is staring at you. The room is dead silent.
A nightmare scenario.
Total nightmare. You have two choices. You can make excuses, blame the algorithm, blame the budget, or you can look them in the eye and say, I take full responsibility. Saying that phrase out loud literally shifts the power dynamic in the room.
It really does. Let's unpack the psychology of that moment.
Yeah.
When you make an excuse, you look small, defensive, and out of control.
Yeah, weak.
But when you take responsibility, you are actively pulling the blame into your own hands.
Yeah.
You are telling the room, I am strong enough to hold this failure, and therefore I am competent enough to fix it.
It transforms a moment of failure into a display of leadership. It earns immense respect.
Yes, it really does.
And look, navigating these office scenarios requires fluency, so let's do a quick cadence check. I want you, the listener, to test your muscle memory right now. We're going to role play a very quick office interaction. I will play the role of a stressed colleague, and you will hear our expert reply. Pay attention to how natural and fluid the phrases sound. Ready?
Ready.
Hey, are you all right? You look completely exhausted today.
I'm running on empty. I took on way too much work this quarter. Honestly, I took my health for granted.
You really need to take a step back before you burn out.
You're right. I need to take a few days off.
Okay, let's isolate the core phrase there. I took on too much work, meaning I accepted too many heavy obligations. I want you to run this through your mind and then say it out loud with the exhausted but professional tone of someone talking to a peer.
Link the K in, took go, and the O in on. Took on.
Try it right now. I took on too much work.
Because when you master that rhythm, you stop sounding like a student translating words, and you start sounding like a colleague sharing an experience.
Yeah, let's push this a bit further. I want to run a mental exercise with you, the listener. Imagine you are in the middle of a complex strategy meeting. I'm going to describe a scenario, and I want you to supply the correct professional phrase using the word take.
This is a great exercise.
Okay, scenario 1. The CEO is speaking rapidly about the new compliance regulations. You don't want to forget these details. So you grab your pen and you begin to...
I'll give you a second.
Think about it.
You take notes. You are physically capturing the information.
Well, exactly. Scenario 2. A junior team member is nervous about speaking up with a new idea. You want to encourage them to embrace the risk. You lean over and tell them to... What?
What's the phrase?
Yeah.
Take a chance. Pick up that briefcase of risk.
Now, as empowering as all these phrases are, we really have to address the roadblocks. Yeah. We see a lot of international professionals, particularly our listeners tuning in from Indonesia, wrestling with some very specific translation traps when they enter an English-speaking workplace.
Yeah, because translation is rarely a one-to-one math equation.
Right.
The architecture of Bahasa Indonesia, for example, frames certain actions differently than English does. When a professional tries to translate directly from their native language, word for word, the result can sound a bit jarring to a native speaker's ear.
A classic example I hear in international offices all the time is, I am very tired, I will take rest.
Yes, that's a huge one. In many languages, rest functions as an uncountable concept that you can simply absorb. But in English, we rely heavily on articles to package actions into manageable events.
Right, you can't just take rest.
No, you must take a rest or take a break. That tiny article A is the anchor that makes the phrase sound natural.
That's a subtle one, but here's a much bigger conceptual trap. When facing a massive deadline, an Indonesian professional might translate a cultural concept of worry and say, I am taking tension.
Yes, and this perfectly highlights the danger of literal translation. You might translate a phrase like amble pusing or a similar concept of adopting stress. But in English, tension is not an object you can pick up and put in your pocket.
Obviously not.
So you cannot take tension. You feel tension. You experience stress.
You are under pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The natural phrasing would be, I am feeling stressed, or I am under a lot of pressure. You don't take it. It surrounds you.
So what is the grand takeaway here for our listeners trying to level up their careers? I think it means that mastering business English is about acquiring chunks of language, not swapping out individual words in a dictionary.
Absolutely. You cannot just take a verb from your native language, find the English equivalent, and drop it into a sentence like a mathematical formula.
No, it just doesn't work.
Learning single, isolated words creates a really robotic, hesitant speaking style because your brain is constantly calculating the grammar. But learning entire phrases as single units like take a step back, take a hit, take responsibility, that allows you to speak in fluid, complete thought.
You completely bypass the grammar calculation.
Exactly. You are just deploying the tool.
And to help you solidify these tools, we are heading into our final challenge for the day. It is time for the professional take versus make mental quiz.
Oh, this is arguably the biggest stumbling block in business English.
It really is. I will present a corporate scenario, and you, the listener, have to decide instantly whether the correct verb is take or make. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Question 1. You missed a major client deadline. Do you blank an excuse or blank an excuse? Which one?
Shout it out. You make an excuse.
Yeah.
Because you are creating a fabrication from scratch.
Perfect. Question 2. Your department needs to hire a new vendor, and the options are overwhelming. Do you blank a decision or do you blank a decision?
Think about the heavy context. In a heavy corporate context, you take a decision. You shoulder the burden of the choice.
Right. Question 3. A controversial new policy is introduced at work. You want to participate in the debate. Do you blank part in the meeting or blank part? What do you think?
You take part. You claim your portion of the discussion.
And the final question. Your company launches a product that completely fails, resulting in a massive financial deficit. Does the company blank a loss or blank a loss? Give it a shot.
A company must take a loss. They absorb the financial blow that has been dealt to them.
If you navigated that mental quiz successfully, your professional English is honestly already taking off.
To kind of synthesize everything we've explored in this deep dive, mastering a versatile, dynamic, word-like take is not about memorizing a rigid table of definitions.
Definitely not.
It is about understanding how English speakers view the world. We treat our experiences, our time, our risks, and our professional failures as objects that we must actively carry.
Wow.
Fluency comes from being brave enough to make mistakes, taking chances in your daily meetings, taking responsibility for your own learning routine, and above all, taking pride in the quiet, incremental progress you make every single day.
I honestly couldn't have phrased it better. You have to feel the language, not just study it. And as we bring this deep dive to a close, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to just, mull over.
Oh, I love these.
We have spent this time analyzing the mechanics of taking responsibility, taking chances, and taking control of your career trajectory. But look inward for a moment. Ask yourself, honestly, in your journey to master English or in your current role at your company, what is the one project, the one conversation, or the one risk that you are terrified to take on right now?
Yeah, that is the ultimate question. Because the things we are most afraid to take on are usually the exact things that will facilitate our biggest growth.
Right. Identifying that fear is the first mechanical step to dismantling it. Don't let the fear just sit there in the abstract.
No, identify it. Look at it as a tangible object.
Exactly. Take a deep breath and take it on one step at a time. My challenge to you today is simple. Before you close your laptop or finish your commute, grab a pen or open your notes app and write down just one complete sentence using the word take that applies specifically to your professional life today.
Claim the vocabulary for yourself.
Yes, claim it. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep pushing forward and take care, everyone.